I am 24 years old, which means that in the best case scenario, about a third of my life has already passed. Despite it being a pretty scary realization, it also brings me to the thought that I'm not a teenager anymore. I am a man. A young one, but a man. The process of growing up happened very slowly, but at the same time very quickly. I don't really feel like I am a grown up. I feel like I am 15 or 16 years old, but at the same time I have been working a full-time job for quite a while now, and I am actually married. So when I talk to those who are actually 16, I realize that I am definitely older. For some time now I have been thinking, what does it actually mean to be a man? And what actually differs a boy from a man? And how every boy must and have to become a man? That is why I decided to make this video, to share my thoughts on what it takes to be a man. There are pretty much two types of men we see in movies and popular media. The first type is a free man, who looks good, makes lots of money and is with a new woman every week or month. These kinds of men are shown as independent and cool. They earn a lot, drive fancy cars, and most importantly, they don't owe anything to anyone. They are not loyal to the women they are with, because they don't actually care about them. These men are portrayed as being loved by young and beautiful women, and in many movies, this kind of man is shown as the standard of success. The second type of man is a family guy. He has one wife, kids, and pretty much everything he does in life is for their sake. He goes to work, builds businesses and accomplishes things to give his family a better life. Even though the first type might look more attractive to young men watching these movies, over time I came to the conclusion that you can't really be happy if you don't have a family to fight for, and here is why. I was lucky enough to be born and raised in a full family, where parents didn't get divorced. I only started to realize how much of a gift that was only after I turned 20. I have never had to question what I want in life when it comes to the relationship. I had lots of thoughts about who I wanted to be when I grew up. A pilot, an engineer, a content creator or a lawyer, but I never had doubts about how I wanted to live my life. I have always known that I want to find a beautiful woman to become my wife, have children and be happy. That came naturally to me, since I had and still have a father and mother who showed me an example of a loving family. Having a real man as an example in your life is, in my opinion, one of the only ways to grow up to be a man yourself. Because you can read many books and watch lots of movies, but in the end of the day, those show men as some kind of epic heroes. They show superhumans on amazing adventures, not everyday life. That's why it's very important to have a real life role model. Ideally, that person should be a father, but looking at global divorce rates, we have to be honest and admit that having a father while growing up is more of a privilege than a norm nowadays. So it could be other men, like grandfathers, uncles, teachers or sport coaches. But unfortunately, most boys growing up don't have such a privilege. They grow up without seeing what a real family looks like, and the media keeps brainwashing them day after day by showing them successful rappers who don't care about women's feeling, about kids or about real values. All they care about is how much money is in their bank accounts. And that's how you get 20 years olds who have no clear direction in life. They think going out and being with as many women as possible will make them happy. They think that making money and buying a mansion will make them happy, or whatever else they are chasing. But most likely, they will end up miserable. Let's say you went out and started making good money. It doesn't really matter if you have a good office job, work as a blue-collar worker or build your own businesses. In the end of the day, when you get that money and let's say buy yourself a new car, do you think you will be living in constant joy because of it? Nope, I don't think so. I actually believe that only the sacrifice can make a man happy. I know it could sound a little bit harsh, and that is why I want to explain what I mean when talking about sacrifice. You find the woman you love, then you go out there, hunt for the food, which today's means making money. Come home, take care of your woman and later your kids. That's it. However, it's much easier said than done. In real life, being a man means constantly dealing with struggles and solving problems for the sake of making your family's life better. The older I get, the more I understand that problems are just a part of everyday life. When you grow up and have responsibilities, things will go wrong quite often. And that's the thing, you don't get to escape it. You can't just avoid problems or walk away from responsibilities. When you choose to be a man, a real one, you are signing up to show up every single day, no matter what. You wake up tired, you go to work, you feel like giving up, but you keep going. Your wife is upset, your kids are screaming, bills are piling up, but you don't run, you deal with it. That's the kind of sacrifice I'm talking about. It's not about jumping into a fire or doing something dramatic. It's the small, quiet, invisible thing you do every day that no one claps for. The effort you make when no one is watching. The weight you carry so others don't have to. Eventually it becomes who you are, not because it's easy, but because it's the right thing to do. But there is the reward. When you come home after a hard day and your kids run up to hug you, when your wife looks at you like you are her safe place, when you sit down at the dinner table and realize this is your kingdom. And that's where the joy is. Not in some club with flashing lights and empty conversations, not in luxury cars or big bank accounts. Those things can be nice, sure, but they're just extras. Real joy comes from being needed, from being someone your family can count on, from being a man who shows up. And the truth is that no one ever is going to hand that to you. You have to build it, brick by brick, day by day, mistake by mistake. That's why I think young guys today are struggling. No one told them this. No one showed them that responsibility isn't a burden, it's a gift. It's a mission. And without that mission, you are lost. You wake up with no reason to push through hard days. You scroll through your phone, comparing your life to others, wondering why you feel empty. And the answer is simple, you don't have something bigger than yourself to live for. So, yeah, being a man, yes, being a man is hard, but it's supposed to be hard, because that is what makes it meaningful. At the end of your life, you will most probably not going to remember these random nights at clubs with some strangers. You will remember the moments you spent with your family, the times when you showed up for your family, even when you didn't actually feel like it, the legacy which you built, not with words but with action. If you really sit down and think logically, you might come to a dark conclusion, that all the sacrifices, the stress, the responsibilities, the commitment might not seem worth it. Why have a wife when you could live alone and spend all your money on yourself? Why raise kids when you could use that college fund to buy a new truck? Why take care of your family when you could travel the world, chase women, and do whatever you want, whenever you want? It's tempting. That kind of freedom sounds appealing, especially when you are young. But here is the catch. If you keep thinking that way for too long, it will eat you alive. That kind of selfish thinking will destroy your soul. Because the real fulfillment doesn't come from taking, it comes from giving. It's not about what you get out of life, it's about what you build, what you protect, what you show up for. And look, I don't think our ancestors were dumb. I actually think that they were wiser than we give them credit for. Just look at the old stories, myths, poems and legends. What do they celebrate? Exactly, sacrifice. They honor the man who stands his ground to defend his home, the man who goes to war to protect his people, the man who fights for the woman he loves, who raises his children, who serves something bigger than himself. That's the blueprint. That's what manhood was always meant to be. We are not here to be pampered, to choose pleasure or to run from difficulty. We are here to serve in one way or another. And strangely enough, that's what actually makes men happy. No, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with having nice things, buying yourself a cool car, enjoying some luxuries, that's totally fine. But if you think that's all you need to feel fulfilled, you are setting yourself up for a great disaster. Because no car, no watch, no thing will give you a peace at night. They might distract you for a while, they might even make you feel like a king for a few days, but they won't build anything real. In fact, they might leave you emptier than before. Because at some point you are gonna look around and realize there is no one to fight for. No one who truly needs you, no one who is waiting for you at home. And that's when it hits, that quiet creeping emptiness. So, yeah, on paper sacrifice doesn't always make sense, but that's exactly why it's powerful, because it goes against your selfish nature. It calls us to be more than just consumers. It calls us to give something, our time, our strength, our love, and to find purpose in the process. That's what separates boys from men. That's what builds a legacy. And in the end, when you're old and tired, it won't be the cars or vacations you will remember. It will be the family you raised, the people you protected, the life you built. Not for yourself, but for the ones you love.